Have you ever felt like no matter how much you gave in a relationship, it was never enough? Like you were pouring everything you had into someone who didn't truly see your worth until it was too late? Well, what happens when the tables turn? What happens when a woman finally realizes she's lost you, not because you begged or chased, but because you walked away with strength and dignity? Stay till the end, because this video will break down the exact emotional roller coaster she goes through when she loses a high-value man, and why, once you're gone, she can never truly replace you. Comment, "I'm ready" right now if you're committed to watching this all the way through, because the insights I'm about to share will change how you view relationships forever. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because this channel is about empowering men like you with knowledge, strength, and the tools to thrive. Your support ensures that more men hear this message, so smash that like button and let's dive in. Number 1. Emotional chaos and self-worth. When you walk away from a relationship, especially after giving your best, you initiate a shift in her world that she's not prepared for. At first, she might not feel it. Maybe she tells herself that she's fine, or even better off without you. But beneath that facade, chaos begins to brew. Women thrive on emotional connections. They're wired for it. When that emotional anchor which you provided is suddenly gone, she's thrown into uncharted territory. She might not show it outwardly, but deep down she feels it. The confidence she once had begins to crack. The independence she bragged about starts to feel hollow. Why? Because what she took for granted is no longer there. In many relationships, women grow accustomed to a man's emotional stability. They don't think about it, they don't consciously value it. It's just there, like the air they breathe. And the tragedy is, they only notice its importance when it's gone. This emotional chaos starts to consume her thoughts. Every little thing you did, every moment you were there for her, starts to play back in her mind. But this time, instead of dismissing it as ordinary, she sees it for what it truly was: valuable, irreplaceable. Her first reaction might be anger or indifference. She might try to convince herself that she doesn't care, that she can move on just as easily. But this is where the truth begins to surface. Deep down, she knows that not all men are built the same. And if you're the kind of man who carries himself with confidence and self-respect, she knows replacing you won't be as easy as she hoped. This realization begins to unsettle her. The world she thought she controlled suddenly feels shaky. It's not just the loss of you, it's the loss of what you represented: stability, strength, and reliability. Here's what's even more fascinating. This emotional chaos isn't something she'll talk about openly. Women are conditioned to hide their vulnerabilities, especially when it comes to admitting they've lost someone important. But the chaos is there. Bubbling just under the surface, it shows in the way she suddenly becomes more active on social media, posting pictures that scream, "I'm fine," when she's anything but. It shows in the way she starts reaching out to mutual friends, casually asking about you while trying to appear indifferent. It's all an attempt to mask the storm raging inside her. You see, when a man walks away, especially a high-value man, it's not just a breakup for her, it's a shift in her entire sense of control. The truth is, women are drawn to men who don't depend on them for validation. When you walk away without anger or desperation, it sends a powerful message. You're not just any man, you're a man who knows his worth. And that realization, her understanding that she lost someone extraordinary, begins to weigh on her like a heavy burden. Number 2. The moment of realization. The chaos of her emotions eventually leads to one pivotal moment, the moment of realization. This isn't just any fleeting thought, it's a profound awakening. It's when she finally understands, in no uncertain terms, that she's lost something truly valuable. At first, she might fight this realization. She might distract herself with work, friends, or new relationships, but no amount of distraction can erase the truth. This moment often comes unexpectedly. Maybe it's triggered by a song that reminds her of you. Maybe it's a photo she stumbles across, or a memory that resurfaces out of nowhere. Whatever the trigger, it hits her like a ton of bricks. And in that moment, she's forced to confront the reality she's been avoiding. You're not coming back. What makes this realization so powerful is that it's not just about missing you. It's about recognizing her own shortcomings. She begins to see the ways she pushed you away, the moments she let her pride get in the way of a genuine connection. This isn't just regret. Self-awareness, as painful as it can be, is what forces her to truly understand what she lost. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This moment of realization isn't just about you. It's about her. It's about her recognizing the gap between the woman she is and the woman she wants to be. Your absence doesn't just highlight what she lost. It highlights what she needs to work on within herself, and that's a powerful thing. This realization often comes with a mix of emotions: sadness, regret, even anger. But beneath it all is a deep sense of longing. She doesn't just want you back. She wants to go back to the version of herself that felt worthy of you. She starts to wonder if she'll ever feel that way again, if she'll ever find someone who sees her the way you did. And here's the beauty of it. This realization is yours to own. It's a reflection of the man you are, the man who refused to settle, who refused to compromise his self-respect. It's a testament to your strength, your integrity, and your ability to walk away when a relationship no longer served you. For her, this moment is a turning point. It's when the chaos of her emotions begins to take shape, when she starts to piece together the puzzle of what went wrong. But it's also a moment of clarity, a moment when she sees, perhaps for the first time, the depth of what she lost. And the truth is, she may never fully recover from this realization, because once a woman truly understands the value of a high-value man, it's knowledge she can't unlearn. It stays with her, shaping her future relationships, her choices, and her sense of self. This moment of realization isn't just about her feelings, it's about yours. It's about understanding the power you hold as a man who knows his worth. And when you embrace that power, you not only transform your relationships, you transform your life. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned, because the journey we're about to explore goes even deeper. The feelings, the emotions, the truths, they're all part of a story that's as old as time. And as we unravel it together, you'll gain the tools, the insights, and the confidence to become the man you were always meant to be. Number 3, the power of emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is one of the most misunderstood and underappreciated strengths a man can possess. Society often paints men who detach emotionally as cold or unfeeling, but nothing could be further from the truth. True emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply about the right things, yourself, your peace, your principles, and refuse to be pulled into someone else's chaos. When you practice emotional detachment in the aftermath of a relationship, it's like flipping a switch that completely changes the dynamic between you and her. Suddenly, she's faced with a version of you she doesn't recognize, calm, composed, and completely unmoved by her attempts to regain control. You see, women are conditioned to expect emotional reactions from men, whether it's anger, frustration, sadness, or pleading. They've been taught that men will show their cards when pushed. But when you detach, when you refuse to engage in the emotional drama, it creates a powerful shift. She begins to question everything. Why isn't he fighting for me? Why isn't he reacting? Has he stopped caring? These questions don't just linger in her mind, they haunt her. What makes emotional detachment so powerful is its unpredictability. Most men, when faced with the end of a relationship, either crumble or lash out. But when you remain stoic, when you walk away without bitterness or desperation, it forces her to see you in a new light. Suddenly, you're not the man she thought you were. You're not someone she can manipulate or control with her emotions. You're something far more valuable, a man who understands his worth and refuses to compromise it. This detachment isn't about punishing her or playing games. It's about reclaiming your power. When you stop chasing her, when you stop reacting to her attempts to provoke you, you show her that your happiness doesn't depend on her. And that realization shakes her to her core, because for the first time, she's confronted with the truth. You don't need her to feel whole. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Women are naturally drawn to strength. Emotional, physical, mental. When you detach, you demonstrate the kind of emotional strength that few men possess, and that strength is incredibly attractive. She may not admit it, but your ability to walk away with dignity and composure makes her see you in a completely different way. In the days and weeks following your detachment, she'll begin to feel its impact more deeply. At first, she might convince herself that she's fine, that she doesn't need you. But as time passes, she starts to realize the depth of what she's lost. Your calmness, your emotional stability, your refusal to be drawn into petty arguments or mind games. These are qualities that are rare and irreplaceable. And the more she reflects on them, the more she feels the void you've left behind. This void isn't just about missing you, it's about missing the version of herself she felt when she was with you. Because let's face it, high-value men don't just bring out the best in themselves, they bring out the best in those around them. When you were together, you challenged her to be better, to grow, to rise to your level. And now that you're gone, she's left with the uncomfortable realization that she may not find that kind of connection again. As a man, your detachment is your superpower. It's what allows you to walk away from situations that no longer serve you, to protect your energy, and to focus on your growth. But for her, it's a wake-up call. It forces her to confront the reality of what she's lost and to grapple with the consequences of her actions. Number 4, the shock of absence. When you detach, the first thing she feels is the overwhelming shock of your absence. This isn't just a fleeting emotion, it's a tidal wave of realization that crashes into her life and leaves her reeling. Women often underestimate the impact a man's presence has on their emotional world. They become so accustomed to your stability, your strength, your energy, that they don't fully appreciate it until it's gone. In the beginning, she might try to mask the shock with denial. She'll tell herself that she's fine, that she's better off without you, that she doesn't need you. But deep down, she knows that's not true. The routines you shared, the conversations you had, the quiet moments of connection, they all leave an empty space in her life that she can't ignore. This absence isn't just about missing your physical presence, it's about the emotional void you've left behind. Women are emotional creatures, and they thrive on connection. When you're no longer there to provide that connection, it creates a gap that no amount of distractions can fill. She might try to keep herself busy, surround herself with friends, or even jump into a new relationship. But none of it can replace what she's lost. Your absence forces her to confront herself without you there to lean on. She's left to face her own insecurities, doubts, and shortcomings. This can be an incredibly uncomfortable process, especially if she's been avoiding these truths for a long time. But it's also a necessary one. Because in the end, your absence doesn't just show her what she lost, it shows her who she is without you. The shock of your absence isn't just emotional, it's psychological. Women are wired to seek emotional security, and when that security is gone, it disrupts their sense of balance. This is why your detachment has such a profound impact. It's not just about what you're no longer giving her, it's about what she can no longer take for granted. In the quiet moments when the distractions fade and she's left alone with her thoughts, the weight of your absence begins to sink in. She starts to replay the memories of your time together, not just the good moments, but the moments when you showed your strength, your integrity, and your ability to stand firm in your values. And as these memories surface, so does the realization that she may never find someone like you again. What makes this shock so powerful is its permanence. She knows that once a man like you walks away, he's not coming back. And that knowledge creates a ripple effect in her mind, forcing her to confront the choices she made and the role she played in losing you. It's not just about the breakup. It's about the loss of everything you represented: stability, strength, and a sense of purpose. Number 5. Regret and introspection. Regret is one of the most challenging emotions a person can face, and when it hits her, it hits hard. At first, she might try to deny it. She might convince herself that losing you wasn't such a big deal, that she can move on, and that someone else will take your place. But deep down, when the distractions fade and reality sets in, regret starts to creep in like an uninvited guest. This regret isn't surface level. It digs deep, forcing her to confront uncomfortable truths about herself and the choices she made. It begins with small thoughts, little nudges in her mind that whisper, "What if? What if she had communicated better? What if she hadn't taken you for granted? What if she had valued the things you brought to the table instead of dismissing them as insignificant?" These thoughts aren't just passing musings, they linger like a storm cloud over her daily life. The more she tries to push them away, the stronger they become. Soon, she's caught in a spiral of self-reflection that's both painful and enlightening. Regret forces her to do something she likely avoided during the relationship: take responsibility. It's easy for someone to blame the other person when things go wrong. It's easy to point fingers, to deflect, to focus on what you did or didn't do. But when you're no longer in the picture, she's left with no choice but to look in the mirror. And what she sees in that reflection can be unsettling. For the first time, she begins to see the cracks in her own behavior, the patterns that led to your departure, and the ways she might have failed to meet you halfway. This isn't just about missing you. It's about realizing that she played a role in losing you. That realization cuts deep because it's not something she can easily fix. She can't go back and undo the moments when she dismissed your efforts, the times she let her pride get in the way of honest communication, or the opportunities she missed to show appreciation for all that you brought to the relationship. Regret isn't just about losing a partner. It's about losing the version of herself she was when she was with you, the version that felt secure, valued, and supported by someone she now understands was truly exceptional. As this regret grows, it transforms into introspection. She starts to analyze every aspect of the relationship, replaying conversations, arguments, and moments of connection in her mind. She asks herself questions she may never have considered before. Why did I act the way I did? Why didn't I appreciate him when I had the chance? What does this loss say about me and the way I handle relationships? These questions aren't easy to answer, and they force her to confront some uncomfortable truths about herself. Introspection can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's an opportunity for growth, a chance to learn from her mistakes and become a better version of herself. On the other hand, it can be paralyzing, trapping her in a cycle of self-doubt and regret that feels impossible to escape. The more she reflects on what she lost, the more she realizes how rare and valuable you truly were. And that realization isn't just painful, it's humbling. She begins to see you not as the person she thought you were during the relationship, but as the person you truly are, a high-value man who brought stability, strength, and authenticity into her life. She starts to understand that these qualities aren't easy to find, and that losing them was a far greater loss than she initially realized. And here's the irony. While she's caught in this whirlwind of regret and self-reflection, you've likely moved on. You've taken the lessons from the relationship and used them to grow, to build a life that aligns with your values and priorities. This contrast, her being stuck in the past while you thrive in the present, only magnifies her sense of loss. She sees you as a man who's risen above the pain, who's embraced the power of emotional detachment and self-respect. That makes her regret even more profound. As she navigates this stage, she might try to reach out to test the waters and see if there's any chance of rekindling what was lost. But even these attempts are often driven by regret rather than genuine understanding. She's not just reaching out to reconnect with you, she's trying to soothe the discomfort of her own introspection, to fill the void that your absence has created. But by this point, you've likely outgrown the dynamic that once existed between you. You've become stronger, wiser, and more self-assured, and that makes you even more unreachable in her eyes. The truth is, regret and introspection are necessary parts of her journey, just as they were necessary parts of yours. They force her to confront the reality of her actions and to understand the value of what she lost. But they also serve as a reminder of the importance of self-awareness, accountability, and growth, lessons that you've already embraced, and that she's only beginning to learn. Number 6. Biological and emotional cravings. Deep down, beyond surface-level behaviors, every person has primal instincts. For women, one of the strongest instincts is the craving for emotional security. It's not something they consciously think about, but it drives many of their actions. When you, as a high-value man, walk away and remove your presence from her life, this biological craving starts to surge. She may not know why she feels the way she does, but the impact is undeniable. When you were in her life, you provided her with more than just company. You were her rock, her anchor, her source of stability. Whether she admitted it or not, she relied on your emotional strength to ground her. And now that you're gone, that foundation has been ripped away. This triggers something deep inside her, something she can't simply turn off. It's not just about missing you, it's about the primal need for connection and stability that you fulfilled. Your absence creates a vacuum, one that she'll instinctively try to fill. But here's the hard truth. Not just any man can fill it. You see, a high-value man isn't just someone who's physically present. He's someone who brings emotional depth, clarity, and a sense of purpose into a relationship. He's someone who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't play games, and who stands firm in his values. When you embody these traits, you become more than just a partner. You become a source of emotional fulfillment. And when you take that away, it leaves her reeling. She may try to distract herself by throwing herself into work, her social life, or even the arms of someone new. But no matter how much she tries to fill the void, there's always a part of her that knows it's not the same. She craves the connection she had with you. The way you made her feel safe, the way you brought out the best in her, the way you didn't need her to complete you, but chose her anyway. These cravings are powerful, and they're not something she can easily suppress. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. Women often mistake these cravings for something else. They might think they miss the relationship itself, or they might convince themselves that they're just nostalgic. But the truth is, what they're really craving is the emotional security that only a high-value man can provide, and that's not something they can easily find elsewhere. This craving becomes even more intense when she realizes that you're no longer emotionally available to her. It's one thing to lose a man physically, but to lose him emotionally, knowing that he's moved on and is no longer invested, is a completely different kind of pain. It's a wake-up call, one that forces her to confront the reality of what she's lost. And the more she tries to ignore it, the stronger it becomes. As time goes on, these cravings don't just fade away. In fact, they often grow stronger. Every time she sees a reminder of you, whether it's a photo, a mutual friend, or even a random memory, it reignites that longing. She starts to realize that what she had with you was unique, that the emotional bond you shared wasn't something that could be easily replaced. And this realization only deepens her craving for the connection she lost. But this isn't just about her, it's about you too. Your ability to walk away, to maintain your emotional strength, and to prioritize your own well-being. That's what makes you the kind of man she craves. That's what sets you apart from the rest. And it's why, no matter how much time passes, she'll always feel that longing for what she had with you. This craving isn't just about the past, it's about what you represented. You were the man who made her feel seen, heard, and valued. You were the man who challenged her to be better, who didn't settle for mediocrity, who brought a sense of purpose and direction into her life. And now that you're gone, she's left to navigate the world without that guidance, without that stability. And that's a loss she'll feel on every level, emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Number 7, persistent memories. When a woman realizes she's lost you, the memories of your time together become a force she can't escape. At first, they seem harmless, even comforting. She may smile at the thought of your laugh or the way you used to look at her. But as time passes, those memories transform into something sharper, something far more persistent. They become echoes of what she no longer has, haunting her in moments when she least expects it. Memories aren't just about recalling the past, they're about revisiting the emotions tied to those moments. And with every passing day, those emotions intensify, making it impossible for her to move on as easily as she once thought she could. Here's where it gets interesting. These memories aren't just about you as a person. They're about the way you made her feel. Women often underestimate how much they rely on the emotional connection a man provides. When you're no longer there, it's not just the absence of your physical presence that hurts. It's the absence of the emotional safety net you created. Whether it was the way you reassured her during tough times or the simple consistency of your support, she now finds herself craving something she can't replicate. And that craving is where the pain begins to settle. At first, she may try to distract herself from these memories. She'll immerse herself in work, spend time with friends, or even jump into another relationship. But here's the truth. Distractions only work for so long. No amount of busy schedules or fleeting attention can erase the memories that creep in when she's alone at night, or when a quiet moment catches her off guard. The memories are always there, like a shadow she can't outrun. And it's not just the big, obvious moments that stay with her. It's the small, seemingly insignificant ones. The way you made her coffee in the morning, the jokes only the two of you understood, the way you looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. These little things become monumental in hindsight, and they weigh heavily on her mind. The persistence of these memories is tied to the realization that what you had wasn't ordinary. It wasn't something she can find with just anyone. At first, she might have told herself otherwise. Maybe she thought, I'll find someone else who treats me just as well. But as time goes on, and she interacts with other men, the comparison becomes unavoidable. No one else seems to measure up. No one else brings that same sense of comfort, strength, and understanding that you did. And every time she's reminded of this, the memories of you grow stronger, more vivid, and more painful. What makes these memories so powerful is that they're tied to her sense of self. When you were together, she likely felt a certain way about herself, valued, cherished, and understood. Now, in your absence, she's forced to confront the version of herself that remains without you. This version is different, less confident, less assured, and more uncertain. The memories of you serve as a mirror, reflecting the gap between who she was with you and who she is now. And that reflection isn't easy to face. As the memories persist, they begin to take on a life of their own. They're no longer just recollections of the past. They become constant reminders of what she has lost. They haunt her, shaping her every thought, her every emotion, until she begins to wonder if she'll ever be able to move on. But here's the truth. The memories, much like her longing for you, aren't something she can escape. They're etched into her heart, a permanent reminder of the love and connection that once was. In the end, these memories not only mark the end of a relationship, but also the beginning of a journey of self-reflection, growth, and acceptance. A journey she must take alone, but one that will ultimately reshape who she is and how she moves forward. Number 8. What-ifs and self-blame. As these memories persist, they begin to take on a life of their own. They're no longer just recollections of the past. They become reminders of her own regrets. She starts to replay every argument, every time she dismissed your feelings, every moment she took you for granted. These what-if scenarios consume her thoughts. What if she had been more patient? What if she had appreciated you more? What if she had done things differently? These questions become a relentless loop in her mind, forcing her to relive the relationship over and over again. With each replay, the weight of her regret grows heavier. The what-ifs are where her mind takes a darker turn. These aren't just idle thoughts. They're a form of self-torment. When she starts to question her actions and decisions, it opens a floodgate of regret and self-blame. At first, these thoughts might come in brief flashes, triggered by a song, a place, or even a random conversation. But as time goes on, they become more frequent and harder to ignore. She starts to pick apart every detail of your relationship, searching for the exact moment she lost you. In doing so, she finds herself trapped in a cycle of self-reflection with no escape. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. The what-ifs don't just make her question the past, they make her question herself. She starts to wonder if she's the kind of person who can maintain a relationship with a high-value man. She begins to see patterns in her behavior that she didn't notice before, patterns of selfishness, insecurity, or emotional unavailability. And while she may not admit it out loud, she knows deep down that these patterns played a role in pushing you away. This realization isn't just painful, it's transformative. Because now, she's not just mourning the loss of you. She's mourning the loss of the person she wanted to be when she was with you. The self-blame that accompanies these what-ifs is both a curse and a catalyst. On one hand, it keeps her stuck in the past, unable to fully move on. On the other, it forces her to confront the truth about herself in a way she never has before. She starts to see the flaws she once ignored, the mistakes she once justified, and the ways she let her pride get in the way of genuine connection. This self-awareness is both empowering and devastating. Empowering because it gives her the opportunity to grow and change. Devastating because it comes too late to salvage what she lost. What makes the what-ifs so insidious is their ability to distort her perception of reality. She begins to romanticize the past, forgetting the challenges and focusing only on the good moments. This idealized version of your relationship becomes a benchmark against which all future relationships are measured. And because no one else can live up to that ideal, she finds herself constantly disappointed. This creates a vicious cycle of longing, regret, and dissatisfaction that keeps her tethered to the memory of you. The self-blame that accompanies these thoughts isn't just about the relationship, it's about her own sense of identity. She starts to question whether she's deserving of love, whether she's capable of maintaining a meaningful connection, whether she's worthy of someone like you. These doubts eat away at her confidence, leaving her feeling vulnerable and uncertain. And while she may put on a brave face for the world, inside she's grappling with a level of self-doubt she's never experienced before. As the what-ifs continue to consume her, they begin to shape her outlook on life and relationships. She becomes more cautious, more guarded, and more hesitant to let anyone else in. She's afraid of making the same mistakes, of losing someone else the way she lost you. But in trying to protect herself, she also limits her ability to fully connect with others. The walls she builds to keep out pain also keep out the possibility of love. These what-ifs are a reminder of the power you hold as a high-value man. They show that your absence has a profound impact, one that lingers long after the relationship has ended. For her, they're a painful lesson in the consequences of taking someone for granted. And while she may try to move forward, the shadow of these regrets will always be with her, shaping her decisions and reminding her of what she lost. The what-ifs aren't just a phase. They're a reflection of the depth of her feelings and the significance of your presence in her life. They're a testament to the value you brought to the relationship and the void you left behind. As she continues to wrestle with these thoughts, one thing becomes clear. Losing you wasn't just a moment in time, it was a turning point in her life. Number 9. The irreplaceable realization. There comes a point in her emotional journey where everything she's been feeling, the regret, the memories, the self-blame, converges into one undeniable truth. You are irreplaceable. This isn't just a fleeting thought or a passing realization. It's a deep, visceral understanding that no one else can fill the space you once occupied in her life. It's a truth that changes the way she sees not only you, but every other man she encounters. And this is where the weight of her loss becomes almost unbearable. When she first thought she could move on, she likely convinced herself that she'd find someone better. Society often teaches women that they hold all the cards in relationships, that men are interchangeable, and that the next one will always be an upgrade. But reality has a way of shattering those illusions. As time passes, as she meets other men, as she attempts to rebuild what she had with you, she discovers the hard way that high-value men like you are not easy to come by. She starts to notice the differences. Other men don't have your emotional strength, your unwavering principles, or your ability to stay calm under pressure. They don't listen the way you did. They don't understand her the way you did. And they certainly don't command the same level of respect. This comparison isn't something she sets out to do. It happens naturally. And the more she compares, the more she realizes just how rare you truly are. This realization isn't just about missing you. It's about understanding that what you brought to the table wasn't ordinary. It was exceptional. You weren't just a partner. You were a pillar of stability, a source of inspiration, and a man who lived by his values. And now that you're gone, she's forced to confront the fact that she may never find that again. What makes this realization so powerful is that it's not just about you, it's about her own limitations. She begins to see the ways she fell short, the ways she let her own insecurities and fears get in the way of truly appreciating what she had. This isn't an easy thing to face. It's a harsh, unfiltered look at her own mistakes, her own flaws, and her own inability to see the value of a good man when he was standing right in front of her. And here's the irony: the very qualities that made her feel secure in your relationship are the same qualities she now craves in your absence. Your confidence, your emotional resilience, your ability to stay grounded even in the face of challenges. These are the traits that set you apart from other men. They're the traits that made you unique, and they're the traits she now realizes she can't replace. This understanding doesn't come all at once. It creeps in slowly, like a shadow growing larger as the light fades. At first, she might resist it. She might tell herself that she's better off, that she doesn't need you, that she'll find someone else. But deep down, she knows the truth. She knows that what she had with you was special, and that losing it was her own doing. For her, this realization is both empowering and devastating. Empowering because it forces her to grow, to take a hard look at herself, and to confront the patterns that led to the loss of a man like you. Conclusion: the emotional journey of a woman after losing a high-value man is complex, deeply rooted in primal instincts, and shaped by persistent memories and self-reflection. From the biological craving for emotional security to the haunting memories that linger long after the relationship ends, she is left with an undeniable sense of loss. This loss goes beyond just the absence of companionship. It's a void that touches every part of her being, from her emotions to her sense of identity. As time passes, she may try to move on, to fill the space you once occupied, but nothing and no one can truly replace what she had with you. The comparison between what was and what is becomes inevitable, and it leaves her grappling with a deeper understanding of her own shortcomings. The what-ifs become a painful loop, a reminder of the ways she may have taken you for granted and the emotional security you provided. But ultimately, this realization, the realization that you are irreplaceable, becomes a turning point in her life. It's a truth that forces her to confront not only her regrets, but also the ways she must grow to avoid repeating her past mistakes. Losing you, in many ways, becomes a catalyst for her own self-discovery, although it comes too late to reverse the damage done. For you, as the high-value man who walked away, this journey isn't about revenge or validation. It's about recognizing the power you hold in shaping the emotional landscape of those you encounter. Your absence leaves a mark, not only in the relationship, but in her life as a whole. And while she may eventually heal, the impact of your emotional strength, clarity, and sense of purpose will linger long after you've moved on. In the end, it's a reminder that emotional fulfillment, stability, and connection are not easily found elsewhere. They are rare qualities that make a man irreplaceable, and when lost, the yearning for what once was can never truly fade.